right next to me here, class of 1997, and he first came to Harper Creek, or when I first came to Harper Creek, he was a freshman, and coached him in cross country, was Coach Studer's assistant in wrestling, and coached him in track too, so I spent a lot of time with 4 years with this guy. He earned 12 varsity letters when he was here at school. He was a four-time All-City runner in cross country. He finished second his senior year. He was three-time All-Conference runner in cross country, finished second his senior year. He's a three-time state qualifier, and currently he's 10th on our all-time list. In wrestling, he was a two-time city champion, two-time conference champion, finished 7th at the state meet his junior year, and 3rd his senior year, ended up with 132 wins. In track, he was 3-year varsity. He, in 11th grade, he placed in the city meet 4 events, and his senior year, he got a varsity letter in baseball and in track, and at the city meet, he was 3rd in 800 meters. Went on to wrestle at Olivet College, earning 2 letters there. So you can see that he accomplished a lot, but I think that the road that he took to these accomplishments probably was a lot more difficult than what most people would take. Myles was a captain for all 3 of those sports. His work ethic, leadership, and desires to succeed helped turn those wrestling program, cross-country program, and track program back into winning programs. The cross-country team, we won city championships. Wrestling team won league and district titles with him on the team. And the track team actually started winning meets again. I want to share some funny things about Myles. Some of them are funny, some of them are not so funny. But it kind of talks about the path that he went to achieve his success and what he had to go through. And he was varsity in cross country as a freshman, and I remember when he came to the room and he wasn't very tall. He's this little guy. And he was running all summer and he worked real hard. And he was a good runner for a freshman, and he came to me right before regionals and says, "Coach, I'm qualifying for state today." And I thought, well, okay, good luck to you, you know. And he just missed it, knocked over 30 seconds off his best time that day. And I thought, this guy's really a competitor. And I remember telling Coach Studer, I go, we're going to love this guy in wrestling. We're going to love him. And he made varsity, cracked the varsity lineup as a freshman with wrestling, then decided he wanted to play baseball his freshman year. So I didn't get to spend any time with him then. So as a sophomore, he's getting better at cross country, had a great wrestling season, and he decides to come out for track, and he broke his leg first or second week of practice. And I remember I was down at the discus area, and the coaches were yelling at me to come up. Myles broke his leg, and I thought, yeah, this is a funny joke. So I go up there, and he's laying on the high jump pit. His leg is bent, and you can't see a kneecap because he broke where the patella tendon attaches. His kneecap then slides up into his quad, so you see the bottom of the tibia sticking out of his leg. It was the sickest thing I've ever seen. And he's kind of crying and laughing all at the same time. And I don't know for how long you had to lay there, but he had to hold his leg. He couldn't straighten it out. A couple weeks after that, he's back out of track practice, and he's got this cast that keeps his leg straight. So he's running around like this. And he threw shot and disc the whole season. He wasn't going to quit, wasn't going to give up, didn't need to be there, but that's what he wanted to do. Came out for track, finished it up. So in July of that year, going into his junior year, he gets the pins taken out of his leg. So we're going into cross-country season now, and towards the middle of the end of July, he hasn't run at all. And I'm thinking, well, that's not going to sit good for cross-country. And it was not even until wrestling season he could actually bend his leg the whole way so that he could get down to the base the right way. So his junior year comes out for cross-country, starts out slow, gets going fast, has a good state meet. Wrestling's going good for him. And right after he won the league championship his junior year, that night his house burns down. And I remember standing in the road, and it's one of the stories I always say, it's one of the only times I ever stood next to a man and never knew what to say. Mr. Ferrall and I stood there, and what do you say to a man when he's watching his house burn down? Myles wasn't there, but it probably would have affected a lot of kids, and it didn't affect Myles. He's back at practice on Monday, working hard. He placed 4th in the regionals that year and ended up 7th in the state. And never affected him at all. He just kept on moving. It says a lot about his character. And then moving into his senior year, Myles had a lot of goals, wanted to be a state champion. And he was not afraid of hard work, not at all. And there was a lot of times after wrestling practice that we would go run together. And there was one time we were down by Dairy Queen, and we always laugh because he almost got hit by the same car twice. Because it was dark and we're running and this car pulls out and almost hits him, and he kind of stops and Myles goes again, a car almost hits him again. It was one of those funny stories. Something else he talks about is toughness, his work ethic. One time he lost 12 pounds in 12 hours. It was right after Christmas break, and he went over to Europe on his cross-country trip. When he came back to school on that Monday morning, we had to weigh in that night for a Tuesday match. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, I saw it myself with my eyes. Myles was 12 pounds over, and I thought, oh no, this isn't going to be good. At 6 o'clock that night, he made weight. He lost 12 pounds in 12 hours. It says a lot for his toughness. Another funny story about Myles. When he was playing baseball and running track, he didn't get to come to a lot of meets for track because baseball was his #1 priority. We were at Penfield, and Myles is a cross-country runner. He's a distance guy. Quick, man, let me run the 200 meters. No, you're not running the 200 meters. Come on, let me run it, please, please. So he runs the 200 meters, and at Penfield, if you're at the finish line, you look across the track, there's these pine trees there for the start of the 200 meters. Everybody's in starting blocks, but Myles isn't. Oh, this ought to be good. Myles is leading the 200 meters coming off the corner, and he starts to lean at where the exchange zone line is, not the finish line, like he's thinking that's the finish line. He realizes he's leans too soon, but he can't catch himself, so he does a forward roll, gets up and finishes the race, and still finishes second. His words out of his mouth, I do believe that day was, see quick, I can run the 200 meters. I said, yeah, you can. It all seemed like that 4 years I spent with Myles was over in a blink of an eye. I'm very proud to have been Myles' coach and to have been a part of his life, and I'm also very proud and happy to be able to introduce him today into the Harper Creek Athletic Hall of Fame.